BFM 89.9, good morning, I'm Nadia Hassan. Welcome to your morning headlines. Quite a diversified group of them this morning. So let's get started basically with the Malay Mail saying no free entry for Singapore vehicles. What it means is now Singapore vehicles entering Malaysia, more specifically actually Johor, will have to buy something called a vehicle entry permit. Now Singapore has always had vehicle entry permits, or VEPs as they're called, on Malaysian vehicles going in, but we've actually never charged them. It's never been kind of two-way traffic. So now, because the Singapore government has raised the VEP from $20 to $35, somebody in Malaysia kind of thought, yay, you know what? We have to do it too, because there are a lot of them coming into Johor, and being Johorian myself, I kind of know that they just come in and buy all my groceries and raise all my prices. This is basically us saying that they are now being charged in, but they're being charged $20. Come on, 20 ringgit to a Singaporean, that's absolutely nothing. But there was a very good point that one consumer group made. They say, although they welcome the move, it's only for Singapore Johor. It doesn't count for all the other borders. So it makes you think whether it really is for the good of Johor, or is it really just tit for tat? Moving on to New Straits Times and The Sun, both of them have Sabah's security on their mind. The first is the abductor holding the Constable Zakia Alip. 10 million is what they're asking for, and they are approaching it, well, NST is approaching it from this angle, talking about, how they're not well, he's under duress, so that the human more aspect of it. Sun has become a bit more clinical, talking about the Sabah beef up, and they quote Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Khalid Abu Bakar saying, of course it needs to be done. It's come to this point again where this story just keeps cropping up. As a result, the beef up, because Eskom's actually going through a reorganization at the moment, but it did come too little too late. The Star worries about you and your pocketbook, simply talking about World Cup 2014, the biggest losers. No, not Brazil, although I think a lot of people will disagree with that, but namely the fact that a lot of people who actually apparently mortgaged their houses or took out loans are now being chased by loan sharks. I mean, can people never learn that this is not the way it's supposed to go? But the funny thing is, if you actually look in, they actually go full pelt with this. They talk about losers feeling the bite. One salesman suddenly decided to mortgage 50,000 and lost. Bukit Aman's working with the FBI on this. And of course the Star, because they feel they are the people's paper, the more humane aspect, talk about how gambling rehab centres are getting more calls. But in contrast to the piece just below it, bookies complaining of poor business. So which one is it? Are we a country of raging gambling addicts, or the bookies are just not getting as well, or people are just going online? Of course, if the sharp-eyed of you would have noticed this little banner at the top. We were talking about that in a minute, but just not before we talk about whether Khalid has a job, and he says he does until 2018. After all the news is swirling about his dismissal and rumours, it's very hard to say whether or not he will stay on. Sinar sort of goes on the same thing, talking about Sultan, but they chose a very interesting story for their cover. Mengapa kami pilih DAP? They're talking about young Muslim women picking DAP. Now my question is, I thought this was a party of policies, not of religion, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And to finish off with our favourite tabloid, let's talk about Kiki. So basically, it went viral all yesterday. I didn't understand what was going on my Twitter feed, but apparently this young Malay lady actually took out her steering lock and walloped this poor old uncle's car. She was roundly vilified on social media, which of course always happens in cases like this. They also turn this into another sort of religion race-based. I don't know why is it that everything here becomes religion and race-based. They turned it on. I wonder if it had been between people of two similar races, whether they would have done it. But she was sorry, she was apologetic. Funnily enough, that didn't get picked up as fast as the bad deeds, but hey, welcome to the internet. The most interesting thing that's come out of this, DG has come out to say that, we feel for you, uncle, we're going to pay for the repairs to your car. So some goodwill on their part. Kiki also gives us our word of the day, which is menyesal, regret. Well, given how she was sort of, roundly sounded on Facebook and Twitter and every other account, I'm not surprised she regrets. That's all for me. I'm Nadia Hassan for your morning headlines, BFM 89.9. Germany 1.